Tom Brady talked about sending your message after the draft. So, what did you take away from that? His advice to you.
That was it. My story is gonna be similar.
I know it's early, but have you been able to gravitate towards someone, attach yourself to someone in this building and your kind of abilities?
Yeah, I say it's only really rookies in the building right now, and all of them real cool, and they got great personalities. So I'm glad to have that team bonding, that team chemistry back.
Imagine this. Shedeur Sanders was there in that green room less than 3 months ago, watching quarterback after quarterback have their names called as his phone remained silent. The son of Coach Prime, the most skilled passer in college football, was selected by the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round. Pick 144. It was regarded by the football community as one of the worst draft slips in the history of the modern NFL. But what if I told you that he could have had the finest experience of his life on that slide? What if I told you that Sanders is doing more than simply convincing the Browns coaching staff during these July training camps? He is changing the playbook to reflect what a rookie quarterback is capable of. Because Cleveland's current situation goes beyond a simple comeback tale. All of the records, projections, and expectations that stood in his way have been completely destroyed. Allow me to transport you back to the NFL Draft in April 2025. You are familiar with the procedure. The suits, the bright lights, and the real-time hopes being realized and dashed. The most polished quarterback in the whole class, Shedeur Sanders, enters the room. The young player in question threw with the 3rd lowest off-target rate in NCAA football, which was 6.5%. A quarterback whose precisely placed passes made receivers appear like professional bowlers. Without losing their pace, they could sprint after the catch. This is where it becomes insane, though. The first day comes and goes, not shaded. On day 2, we watch as players like Dylan Gabriel, who, as it turns out, would end up becoming his teammate, are chosen in the 3rd round. No Shedeur yet. When the 3rd day arrives, social media is going crazy. While draft analysts are baffled, Coach Prime is most likely pacing a hole in his office floor someplace in Colorado. Then it occurs. In round 5, select 144. At last, the Cleveland Browns pull the trigger. What do you know? There was no joy in the group's response. Confusion was the cause. The Browns, a team that has been a quarterback graveyard for more than 20 years, finished 3-14 in the previous season. The most gifted passer in the draft ends up there. However, this is something no one anticipated. Being selected isn't always the beginning of the greatest tales. They may begin by being the one who is ignored. Shedeur Sanders was a brother who was going to make every team that passed on him regret it for the ensuing 10 years. Let's fast forward to training camp in July 2025. Let me now give you a glimpse of what's going on in Cleveland, because, although what I'm about to tell you may sound like fiction, I have sources inside that facility who are telling me things that are forcing seasoned coaches to reevaluate everything they believe to be true about rookie quarterbacks. Shedeur enters the quarterback room for the first session, where seasoned veteran and Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco is present. Former first-round selection Kenny Pickett is attempting to revive his career. Additionally, the entire corporation is haunted by the spirit of Deshaun Watson's enormous contract somewhere in the background. For Sanders, this was meant to be a year of learning. Watch from a distance, and if they're lucky, they could even get some garbage time in December. But this is the point at which the narrative takes a turn that no one saw coming. Sanders enters the huddle for the first time on the opening day of camp. My sources also claim that something electrical occurred. His command of the huddle, his ability to read the defense, and his first pass, a 35-yard hit that went straight into his receiver's hands, were not just amazing. They were historic. For this is what the Browns coaching staff understood at that very time. They weren't given a project in the 5th round. The franchise quarterback they selected just so happened to be selected in the 5th round. There is a difference, and a significant one. Let me explain what has been going on in these clinics, since the statistics are completely out of control. During team drills during his first week of camp, Sanders made 47 of 52 passes. It's more than just good. That is Tom Brady at his best. But things improve. 31 were thrown into coverage out of the 47 completions. This young player is doing more than simply making simple passes. Veteran quarterbacks wouldn't even try the needles he's threading. There's more though. Do you recall that I said he was the most polished graduate of college? In the NFL, polish often indicates a restricted ceiling. Technically, you're fine, but not very good. That story is being rewritten by Sanders every day. The scout's arm strength is questioned. The accuracy with which he has been hitting receivers 60 yards downfield has caused defensive backs to halt play in order to observe the ball placement. The kicker is this. The coaching staff of the Browns has begun to time his choices. For a rookie quarterback, the average time from snap to pass is 3.2 seconds. Sanders' average time is 2.1 seconds. That is quicker than the majority of the league's starting quarterbacks. It typically takes years to get the processing speed that we are discussing. In addition, he is smashing more than just statistical records in his first month of playing professional football. I'll tell you what transpired during the initial inter-squad scrimmage. The Browns have a custom whereby newbies must establish themselves before the veterans will truly appreciate them. Sanders, a fifth-round selection, enters that scrimmage. By the end of that scrimmage, the person who is meant to feel thankful simply for being there is the afterthought. He was approached by seasoned defensive players who shook his hand and remarked, "I've never seen accuracy like that from a rookie." Sanders was making reads so fast that the defense was unable to follow up, forcing the defensive coordinator to call timeout 3 times. Last season, its defense held its own against some of the league's top offenses. This is where things start to become sentimental. This is why I believe there is more to this tale than just football. Recall that this child saw the selection of 143 players. He presumably questioned everything as he sat in the room before him, including his value, talent, and future. It took him until day 3 to even get picked, despite being the son of one of the world's most well-known athletes. However, he turned that into motivation, rather than allowing it to shatter him. Rocket fuel, not just any fuel. Because his actions in Cleveland go beyond simply demonstrating the doubters are mistaken. It's about demonstrating that the hardest locations may occasionally yield the greatest gems. Right now, the Browns organization is booming. Executives in the front office who had been preparing for a rebuilding season are now discussing the possibility of a postseason run. Season ticket buyers are beginning to have hope again after anticipating yet another poor season. Other teams in the NFL are also furious because, according to my sources, at least 6 teams that passed on Sanders have contacted the Browns regarding potential trades. 6 groups. Can you picture that exchange of words? "Hey, do you recall the quarterback you selected in the 5th round? The one that we all died? Yes, we want to exchange him right now." The thing that makes this story even more amazing, though, is this. Sanders isn't only thriving in spite of the challenges, it is the reason he is successful. He is driven by 143 picks worth of uncertainty in every workout, throw, and read he makes. It's more than simply motivation. That is the epitome of a quarterback's focused determination. For the first time in more than 20 years, Browns supporters are beginning to believe in something. That their franchise quarterback has finally arrived. Furthermore, the quarterback who landed in their lap because 31 other teams were unable to see what was directly in front of them was not just any franchise quarterback. Let's discuss the implications of this for the future, though. Something unique has been being built by the Browns. They have offensive weapons, a hungry defense, and now they could have the last component at the most crucial position in sports. we're not only looking at a comeback story if Sanders keeps going in this direction, which all signs point to his doing so. We are seeing the emergence of a dynasty. Here's what makes all of this so absurd. The season is still in its early stages. These are merely chatter from training camp, scrimmage performances, and practice highlights. However, the groundwork, currently being established in Cleveland, has the potential to completely alter the AFC North. The Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers are all keeping an eye on Cleveland's events and are beginning to acknowledge that their division has become much more competitive. Furthermore, Sanders isn't satisfied with only disproving others. His goal is to demonstrate that often the greatest chances come from the largest blunders. Not all of the teams that passed on him just lost out on a quarterback. They lost out on a talent that will be around to remind everyone that a player with something to prove is always worth considering. Well, let me ask you a question. Could this be the beginning of the next great NFL dynasty? Or is this simply another overblown rookie tale that will be forgotten by October? Because I believe we all know the answer based on what I'm seeing, hearing, and what's going on in Cleveland at the moment. Not only is the miraculous return occurring, but it has already taken place. All we have to do now is wait for the rest of the world to catch up. What are your thoughts? Will Shedeur Sanders make the teams that let him go pay for the next 10 years? Tell me in the comments section below. Additionally, don't forget to subscribe for additional Global Inside stories.